Because I know that my discrimination against women video is going to catch a lot of flack already beforehand, I'm going to make this video which goes into a bit more depth. If women get paid less than a man for the exact same job, nobody's ever going to hire a man because they can hire the woman for whatever it is, 77 cents on the dollar. No sane corporation is going to do that, and if they did, if a corporation was discriminatory, then their competitors would have an edge on them because they're going to have to pay 77% of what the first corporation is paying for labor costs. So economically, this just can't work. Now, there is evidence to support that women who are working in the same occupation actually do get paid less than comparative men who are working in the same occupation. But when you control for all factors, like time in the workforce, all that kind of stuff, benefits paid, maternity leave, when you factor in all of that stuff, the wage gap disappears. So it's not so much that women are being discriminated against, it's just that women as a whole, they tend to work less than men. Why do women work less than men? Well, because women have babies. That's why. And women who go on maternity leave, they have less experience than men. Employers have to factor in the cost of hiring a replacement, training their replacement, all that good stuff. So that is why women as a whole tend to get paid less than men. So it's not that women as a whole are being discriminated against. It's just that in many circumstances, they are slightly less desirable employees than men. I feel the claws. If you walk into a potential employer's office as a job applicant and you're a woman and you say, well, you know, I really want this job, but I gotta tell you, I gotta have lots of maternity leave, I gotta have lots of vacation time because I'm gonna have a baby in 3 months. So I need at least, you know, 8 months maternity leave. I'm going to need lots of vacation time because I need to make sure I'm there for my kid. You know, I'm going to take lots of breaks off work. Just so you know. But I'm pretty well qualified. I got this college degree here, and he's good. What is the employer going to say? The employer is going to say, "We'll call you." Now, if you truly do possess, you know, equivalent capabilities to a man. And, you know, all the other factors are factor in, work experience and, you know, how much time you're going to take off work, all that kind of stuff is factored in. You're not going to get paid less than a man. It wouldn't make any sense for the employer to do that because if the employer can pay you even 98% of what he'd pay a man, he's going to pay you the 98% because he saves that 2% on labor costs. And yes, corporations and businesses, they are all about saving money. And like I discussed briefly in the video, if there is an employer that is paying, you know, women 77 cents on the dollar for the same job a man's doing, well then all of their competitors can then say, oh wow, if we just pay this woman 78 cents, if we just pay her 78 cents on the dollar, we can hire them away from that employer, and then we'll have that advantage. And then the first employer is going to say, now wait a minute, we better pay her 79 cents. And it just gets bid up until you're at parity. That's the way economics works. You know, you can demand pretty much whatever wage you're worth. So if you can provide your employer $10 worth of value, you know, you can demand up to whatever point it still makes sense for him to employ you, and he's going to do it. Now, there's also evidence that blacks get paid less as a whole than whites. Why is that? Because blacks, on average, have less experience and are less qualified than whites. Now, there's nothing sinisterly racist about that. It's not like employers are like, oh, well, you're black, so we're going to pay you 50% of what we're going to pay the white guy. Because, again, that wouldn't make any sense for the employer to do, because then he'd be at a comparative disadvantage to whatever employers don't discriminate. There may be differences in qualifications and education and work ethic, and pretty much anything that would be relevant to the position. Employers take all of that into account, and you know what? If an employer isn't paying you what you're worth, then some other employer will take advantage of that opportunity to poach you from their competitor. And again, if a business hires all whites for twice what they can hire blacks for, well then one of their competitors is going to hire all blacks, have only half the labor cost, and run the first guy out of business. Economics, baby. So you might say, okay, well maybe there isn't unilateral discrimination against women, but it doesn't hurt to pass a bill. It doesn't hurt to say, pass a Discrimination Against Women Act that will make sure employers pay their women the exact same amount as their male employees. Actually, well now the employer has the additional overhead in looking at, say they have two prospective employees, a man and a woman, he'll have to look at the woman and say, well what if she later files suit against me if I hire her? What if she later files suit against me under the provisions of that Discrimination Against Women Act because, you know, she thinks she's being discriminated against. Then I have to worry about all of those legal costs. If I hire the man, I don't have to worry about those legal costs. We saw the same thing after the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, was passed. Right after that act was passed, the percentage of disabled people who were employed dropped. Government programs, man. In conclusion, there is no discrimination against women in the workplace. And if there is, it will be speedily eliminated by economics. And no, we shouldn't pass a Discrimination Against Women Act because no, that will only hurt the people it's trying to help. Similar to the minimum wage, which I think I'll do a video on very soon.
Who will work for $7.77 an hour. Both will perform the exact same job and have the exact same qualifications. Which do you choose?
Well, obviously I'm going to pick the man because I just hate women. I mean, don't